Welcome back. For this video, we're going to take our presentation file and turn it into a drawing file. Go ahead onto the home screen and open the drawing files that you've created for these parts. Now for this, we're going to be putting this on to sheet 2. When it's done, it's going to look like this. We're going to be using the view from the exploded assembly. We're going to be adding what's called a parts list, and we're going to be identifying the parts by using balloons. Let me go ahead and get rid of the current view to show you how it's done. So just like all of our other drawings, we're going to go ahead and select base in order to find the base view. Now for this, we're actually going to be looking for the presentation file. If you want to specifically look at just a presentation file, you can limit it to just files of type, or you can look for the icon that is specific to the presentation file. So remember, the part files is just a single block. Assembly files are blocks put together, and the presentation file is a white piece of paper with looks like something's coming out of it, which indicates our exploded assembly. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Now from that, you'll notice that there are different views. So I'm going to go ahead and change my view so that I have my exploded assembly being used. And I'm going to zoom in. So to zoom in, you can actually click and drag the corner, not the arrowhead one, but the actual corner, or you can change the scale here. Now if you want it to be shaded, make sure this last box here is checked, is highlighted. It's a 3D view, so make sure that the second box is selected, not the first, and then go ahead and hit OK. Now in order to put the part identifiers in the parts list, you want to go to the Annotate tab. And to put the parts list up, go ahead and select Parts List. When that comes up, click on your view. Then go ahead and select OK. You're probably going to see another box come up that asks if you want to enable BOM view. Go ahead and select OK on that as well. And then put that box up into the corner. Now, in order to identify each of the parts, you're going to use what's called balloons. So select balloon, click on the part. You'll notice it only highlights when I'm on the edge of one of the parts. So I'm going to click on the edge. I'm going to click where I want to place the balloon. Now you'll notice that the balloon is still here and it still has a line. Each time I click, it puts a different change of direction of the line. You need to click at least once off of the object. Otherwise, the balloon with the number is going to be directly onto the object. When you're ready to place it, right-click and select Continue. And we're going to do the same thing with our other parts. Now, until I right-click and hit Escape or Escape on my keyboard, the balloon command was still active. So for the exploded assembly, this is all you need to do. As a reminder, the first sheet is just going to be containing the assembly. If you want to put the train whistle project on the Annotate, you'll notice how there's text. You can draw a text box there. The third sheet, what you'll want for that one is to have the sectioned assembly. Now for this one, in order to not show the mouthpiece, remember we're not showing the mouthpiece on this one because otherwise it would hide the reeds. When you place your first view, expand in the browser here, expand that view, and then you'll see the assembly file. Expand that and it'll show each of the parts. If you right click on the mouthpiece, select visibility and it'll become unchecked. Now when you do the projection, so if I go back and I double click on this view and I select the different arrowheads that I'm projecting from, then those will project without the mouthpiece. Now for dimensioning, what you'll want to have is the distance to your reed as well as an angle of the reed if applicable. Now to do dimensioning, it's just like we did dimensioning in our sketch when we were making the parts. You select dimension. If you want to get a specific point, then you can select just that point. If you want to do a line, you can select the two lines. Then move your mouse in the direction you want to place it and click to place it. If you don't want this box to come back up, then you want to uncheck this little edit dimension when created and then hit OK. And that will give you the dimensions. Now to do an angle, be careful not to get the green dot. You want to get two separate lines and then that will give you an angle. So for the sectioned assembly, you'll only need at most 2 dimensions on that sheet. The other parts, you'll want some more dimensions. Now for the circles, any part that has a circle, it actually requires 3 dimensions. You'll want to locate the center of the circle horizontally and vertically, as well as the size of the circle. Now to locate a circle, if you select an edge and select the circle, it will then allow you to make the different dimensions. And just like the balloons, as long as I don't hit escape, I still have my dimension active. And to dimension for circles, Inventor will actually find that dimension for the circle, or if it's a hole, you can select hole and thread, and it'll create something like this where it gives the diameter and the depth. Now you'll notice on mine, I chose to have fractions. When I selected dimension at the very end, where it says format, this one right here, where it says by standard, I changed it so that it said fraction. So instead of showing decimal, it shows fraction then. So you'll want to dimension this here. And dimension the other part files. So again, you want to locate centers of circles both horizontally and vertically. As well as giving the size. Now if you have something like this, a counterbore hole, make sure to use the hole and thread option instead of a basic dimension. Allow yourself to have enough space between the views so that you're not crowding the dimensions. So move your views if needed. And like on something like this, I have a beveled edge, which is a chamfer. So if I select my two corners, then that will allow me to select my chamfer. Now you want to be careful of which one to select first. So it should be the angled edge first, so that's where the arrowhead actually is pointing. Now with circles and that, be careful not to get the dots, get the actual circle itself, because if you get the dots, it's a little bit harder to actually dimension it. You might not get any dimensions. And once you have your dimensioning, make sure to have somebody check over it. Look at that handout that I gave you guys about the dimensioning rules. Double check that you're following them. And when you're happy with them being dimensioned, go ahead and place them on your portfolio. So the inventor drawing files should be the files for the actual parts, and then the assembly files should be the last part. Good luck, have fun.